So I'm back with a Gachiakuta video. I know it's been nearly 2 months since I last talked about this series. Reason being, Galactus was performing pretty well, Gachiakuta not so much, so I chose to drop the reviews for Gachiakuta because I chose to go with the series that was doing better in views, and because I was constrained on time for how many weekly series I could end up making a review video for. I don't guarantee I'll be back with Gachiakuta reviews anytime soon, but I do want to try at some point again. But for now, I just want to talk about the last 5 chapters, more so the most recent chapter, chapter 110, and kind of 109, so I'll be giving cliff notes of the recent chapters, going up to the one that literally just released, because, my god, has shit been crazy. I picked a hell of a time to just stop covering the manga because there's been so much going on, so much reveals, so much plot twists, that I needed to make a full video talking about it. But before we jump into things, don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. It really helps and it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. And if you want to see me talk about more manga, go and check out my anime podcast, Shonen Pulse, over on the Panel Focus YouTube channel, where me, Yatogami, Papa Traffy, and Nox end up talking about manga from multiple different magazines. Gachiakuta is definitely included in our weekly discussions. Go check it out, it is a passion project, and I've always wanted to do a podcast, so if you want to hear me talk about Gachiakuta, even if I don't make reviews, go check that out and you'll see all 4 of us discuss the chapters together. And if you want to support the channel more directly, go and become a patron on my Patreon. For just $2 a month, you get access to my patron-only Discord server, early access to videos up to a week early that aren't chapter review videos, and other details where you can recommend me stuff to review, and I'm currently setting up stuff for potential live readings or watch parties on a bi-weekly basis once I get things figured out for that. You also get your name at the end of videos starting in September, and you can potentially get a shout out at the end of the video. I'm planning to make the Patreon and the Discord server as fun and as engaging as possible to make it worth your while. And also, if you want, go and use my referral link down below for Advanced GG and use my code GreekWeeb10 to get up to 15% off at checkout for some really nice supplements, shakers, and thermoses from Advanced GG. Really great flavors for focus, energy, and just straight up hydration. You will really enjoy it. Now with that out of the way, on with the video. So the very last point where I left off was with Mamao basically sneaking up and touching Kuro, the information broker, to get information while everyone's guards were down. And so in this instance, we end up getting to see her vital instrument, while Zodyl ends up keeping the cleaners at bay with his vital instrument, and he still continues to have the most aura out of most new gen villains. And the panels of him holding off the cleaners, freaking amazing. But we cut to Mamao speaking into Kuro's mind with her vital instrument, a seal. Really amazing design. I freaking love it. So simple, yet so clear. As the images of Kuro's mind, his memories begin to flow out like pictures being viewed through a screen. As all of a sudden, a boatload of memories just start to overflow Mamao's mind, as Kuro has way too much information for a singular person. As seemingly we get a glimpse of Canis, the person who created the Watchmen series, from seemingly the perspective of Kuro, implying that he might have known this guy in the past. Where Mamao is confronted by Kuro himself in his own mind as she wonders how old he is. Bringing us into chapter 107 Elder, where one of the brief instances of the memories is a boardroom, presumably where Kuro was in, where people were basically confronting the fact that there are monsters made from trash and considering it a joke. And Mamao's wondering how many years, 50, 100? It's way more than that, and he's been around for so goddamn long. Kuro, in his own mind and memories, begins to confront Mamao, as she's wondering how he's able to interact with her due to the fact that she can only view memories once she touches somebody, and they can't interact with her whatsoever, and she can't even alter memories. And so, it is revealed that Kuro, in the Well of Memories, is a memory himself, as he stated that before he prepared for Rudo and his friends to show up, and he knew that the raiders would end up trying to get information out of him. He foresaw this happening. So he essentially remembered something in his memories in order to interact with Mamao, because he had a feeling that this would end up happening. Kuro goes on about how memories could eventually fade or be altered in a sense over time and misshapen, but it could end up leading to new pieces of information being gathered. And so he's essentially giving a small piece of information to Mamao, thanks to her ability in viewing these memories, so that he can eventually find what's called the lost memories, something that he wants to know. But he ends up stating that the price is about to be paid for Mamao viewing her memories. She then gets bombarded with more memories that she is beginning to view with her vital instrument, as the price that she will pay is a freeze caused by brain overload, as she just screams in pain and collapses onto the ground. Kuro states it'll take about a month for Mamao to recover from the basic information overload that he gave her, and as the price for the information that she ended up taking from him regardless. As even zodyl, in a rage, is legitimately giving praise as he underestimated Kuro as he prepared for everything, and that he truly is a force to be reckoned with, taking a bite from his sandwich and changing the shape of his vital instrument to look like giant jet black dragon wings. Taking us on to chapter 108, Stay Out of Our Way, Seriously, as zodyl begins to make his way towards the cleaners with the shape change in his vital instrument after eating his sandwich, as seemingly it might have been a trigger for the change in shape. As zodyl seems to be going to try and kill Kuro, as Rudo is trying to get the giant box that he created using his vital instrument to attack, despite the fact that it's basically full from eating the trash beast. But Rudo tries to fly in to try and attack him with the giant box. An enjin jumps in as well to try and keep zodyl from attacking Kuro and separate them. And with the situation as it is, zodyl decides, alright, fine. You win, this is the price. We don't get access to the goods until a month has passed. So right now the raiders have to wait a month before they get access to all of Kuro's information that she managed to acquire. And so, with no other business, they end up leaving. zodyl declaring that the next time they meet, he's gonna pound them into the ground as he jets off. We get a bit of a cooldown. Enjin states that once Kuro ends up stating that something has a price, that the price for this is, that means it can be trusted, as Kuro does not use that word lightly. They begin to get down to business. Rudo says thank you to the box he created as he seemingly undoes it so that it can then disappear, with the chapter ending back at Cleaner HQ with Semu stating that they're getting information with the information broker and they're off with a meeting, as the person she's talking to is Tamsy, as he says, I'm guessing people got hurt. I have nothing better to do. I think I'll go give them a hand. And if we don't all remember, before this point, Tamsy was revealed at the start of this arc that he was the one keeping Amo captive and hidden without anybody else noticing, as he was just being the most horrible human being imaginable. This is going to be where we're going to start focusing more on Tamsy. Moving on to chapter 109, Amo's whereabouts, and as the chapter opens up, this being 2 days after the events of the Kuro chapters, with us meeting up with Ryu, who is in a hospital bed, or the infirmary, of Southern Cleaner HQ. As they end up meeting two of their supporters, Mildreda and Mirage, as they're looking after Ryo as she recovers from the battle that they had with the Trash Beast and the Raiders. We also got word that Fu is actually there at the Southern Branch right now, being interrogated to be sure that he's trustworthy. But he feels safe because, well, Gris is with him, so makes sense, he'll tell whatever information that they need, and Gris will try and keep him from being too nervous to talk. But we end up getting to see that Kuro, of all people, is visiting Ryo in the hospital, as he ends up stating that Rudo wouldn't let him leave and just up and disappear after giving the information without apologizing to her, because it was thanks to him doing all of the things that he was setting up for Rudo and the cleaners for the information, as well as just everything he had going on, that led to Ryo getting injured. And he also introduces some really good piece of character development for Rudo, as he's the type of guy that punches or beats the shit out of people who he doesn't like or he's angry at. But he told Kuro, of all people, he's not going to punch him as long as he apologizes to Ryo for everything that happened. So that's really great maturity for Rudo. Throughout the entire series, he's grown and matured, and I am so happy for that. Ryo takes him the apology and says she forgives him because, thanks to what happened, she knows that she has to train even harder. And so now, we end up cutting to Rudo and the gang with Tamsy meeting up as they're going off to rescue Amo, as Kuro gave them her location. And man, Tamsy looking super menacing, staring at Rudo, and for a second there, I thought Kuro knew that Tamsy was the one that abducted Amo. For all we know, he might have known, or Tamsy's just so good at hiding his tracks outside of the information of the location where Amo was being kept. Tamsy is just being an evil son of a bitch right now, as he showed up because with Rio God, he wanted to fill in the gap in their formation, but also having a familiar face from the last time will definitely help put her mind at ease and make her feel better. So they end up going down into the cellar where Amo's being kept, which is apparently right next door to town where they went shopping the other day, which is the little bit of a chapter that Rudo and all the kids were just going around town helping Remlin in order to end up leading to her creating her own mural in Graffiti Town. So yeah, right next door and right under the cleaners' noses. They discuss how Amo most likely wouldn't have gotten to that location by herself, especially without her boots. But Rudo states that Kuro told them that this is where she's being kept, which confirms that after they parted ways with Amo, she was kidnapped by somebody. Obviously with Tamsy basically being menacing the entire time as he tries to go in first, as she might recognize him and to check if she's still there. But Rudo says he's going in first, because if the kidnapper's there, he's gonna punch him. And so they go down into the underground cellar as they see Amo being strung up as she manages to look at Rudo. As with tears in her eyes states she always knew that he would come for her. And so they open up the gate and it shows that she hasn't been given anything but water for days on end. And so they decide to take her back to HQ because it's closer to help treat her, but their main giver that is able to heal people is away and left to heal Rio previously in the southern branch. But Amo ends up looking up at Tamsy towering over her as she is shaken as she states you, but instead of outing him as her kidnapper, she ends up saying, "You came to rescue me too." As Tamsy ends up bringing her boots and says, "You need them, right?" As she thanks Tamsy with him having the most sinister looking grin on his face. Which leads us to the most recent chapter, chapter 110, which starts with a flashback. And this chapter is just full of reveals, and this is incredibly dark, disturbing, and honestly really great, because it opens up the narrative and gives us a lot more in terms of reveals. So let's move on. We start with us looking up at the staircase to the tower Amo is from, as we see Tamsy in his mask shortly after the group is leaving the tower, as he looks back, as something begins to crawl under the ground, seemingly from his vital instrument, going behind Amo as she's waving the group goodbye into the tower. As the main group is leaving at that point, they're saying how great it is to have Tamsy with them, as his ability is great for restraining enemies. But he states it's handy to have support type power, isn't it? But back inside the tower, as Amo then closes the door, in a 2-page spread, we see this vine-like creature created from Tamsy's vital instrument with a bizarre mask, as it says it can help in so many ways, with Tamsy referring to his ability and support type powers, as this creature ends up sprouting wings from its tendrils as it's taking up the image of an angel, as this takes Amo aback as she's terrified. With Tamsy narrating, stating, "People have misunderstood me all my life, but the person I am now harbors no anger or resentment," with an image of Amo being hit into the door by this creature made from the vital instrument, as she begins to lose consciousness with blood dripping down her head. As Tamsy continues, I have something stronger than those emotions, as the creation that he made takes Amo's boots, but in her desperation tries to get them back, yelling out, but she is then strangled by the avatar that was created by Tamsy's vital instrument, as she then loses consciousness as she tries to call for Rudo to help. Tamsy narrating still, something more right than anything else. As the group gets into their car, leaving, with Tamsy still having the cord out of his sleeve, going back to the tower. But the interesting thing is that he also took the choker that the group left to Amo to have in case of an emergency, as he states something that will trail after me for eternity. He closes his eyes and says, "Rudo, it was beautiful, wasn't it?" As we see an image of a young Rudo And Recto, Rudo's adoptive father figure, as we get an image of Recto being stabbed through the chest by a spear in his final moments, as it's revealed that Tamsy was the one that killed Recto and framed Rudo. And he states, "What I did, my act of love." As in a full page, we see side by side the image of the person in the mask from chapter 1 and Tamsy, revealing that Tamsy was the person from chapter 1 that basically set this entire story in motion, as what he did was essentially stated to be an act of love for Rudo. So that is a huge, huge revelation. Not just, and look, we had another revelation earlier with these chapters, but Tamsy, somebody that we have seen and has helped us so far in the story, is revealed to not only be the person that basically framed Rudo and killed his adoptive father and best friend, but is also somebody who is just so mentally deranged and twisted that he wants to do this because he has some weird fascination of love for Rudo. I'm not opposed to the idea that Tamsy is somehow, some way, a relative of Rudo's. His father, his uncle, perhaps older brother. I got no idea. I doubt it, but I wouldn't be surprised if we go that route, because how else would he have this sort of deranged love for Rudo? But here's the thing. He also has the ability to traverse the border between the land and the sphere. So how he's able to go past that border back and forth, I want to know. It might have to do with his vital instrument and the angel-like being it had created from it. Or perhaps that angel-like being was completely a separate entity that just dwelled in his vital instrument. Maybe he has two, maybe he has multiple vital instruments. Who knows? But this is a massive revelation. So now, this is a great sense of dramatic irony. We, the audience, know who Tamsy truly is, but nobody in the cleaners knows. And Amo seemingly might not have any memory that it was Tamsy, or maybe Tamsy altered her memory somehow. Maybe somebody he's working with, or maybe a side effect of his vital instrument, altered her memories so she doesn't know that Tamsy was the one that kidnapped her. It is insanity, and I am all here for it. But back to the chapter. In present day, Amo is unconscious in a sickbed in the infirmary, with Tamsy still narrating, since she's in such a bad state. The poor thing. But this will make my bond with Rudo even stronger, as Tamsy begins to ponder. Now, what will I do to tease Rudo next? As he thinks back to the moment where Rudo says, "I'm gonna kill," as I believe this from chapter 1 when he's being plunged into the depths. He states, "I almost got him when I killed Recto, but it wasn't enough. I needed to get him to break out of that shell." I'm not sure what this image is. Maybe it has something to do with Rudo, or maybe it's just some imagery to showcase Rudo's bottled up anger or resentment for all I know. But as Tamsy is thinking, he ends up stating, "I have to do it. For love, there's no other choice. I'm gonna have to kill somebody." As it's revealed that Amo is alone in the room with Tamsy. Ending the chapter. So, we are up to date with Gachiakuta. These 5 chapters were insane. Like I mentioned, Recto's killer is Tamsy. Tamsy somehow can traverse between the borders. He was the one responsible for taking Amo. Amo somehow has no memory of all this. But other than that, and for some reason he has some weird fascination with Rudo and wanting to quote-unquote tease him and make him suffer to get some sort of reaction out of him. Earlier in these chapters, with Kuro's information, it's revealed that he's perhaps centuries old. And based on that one image about the trash beasts and this conference room, we can surmise that Gachiakuta is a post-apocalyptic story in some way, shape, or form. So I picked a fantastic time to not cover the manga on a weekly basis. This is insanity. Just my luck. Can you hear me going crazy right now? But anyway, calming down. These last few chapters were insane. Not only did we get actual teases to the origins of the Gachiakuta world, we got to see who might be the final antagonist of the series outside of Zodyl. Somebody who was able to traverse the border between the two worlds. Somebody who was responsible for what happened to Rudo and killing his only real family member, adoptive father figure, family member, in Recto, just to get some sort of twisted reaction out of Rudo. And now, Tamsy, the main culprit, the person that we now know is responsible for the entire course of the story for Rudo, is alone in Amo's hospital room. And he's basically just going to try and kill somebody. And that might be Amo, since that last panel is him alone in that room with her. Now, theory time before I end things off. I think within the next chapter or two, we are going to have Tamsy exposed. Why? Because they know that somebody essentially took Amo and kidnapped her. But there's also something else. Kuro has a vast amount of information. He knows so many things in Amo's location and that she was kidnapped. So what if he really does know that Tamsy was the one that took her, but the cleaners weren't given this information? Perhaps Kuro, in an attempt to help catch Tamsy as a bonus and perhaps help lead to more information for him to gather, the group are planning to set up a trap for Tamsy. Him purposefully being left alone with Amo. Rudo, his interaction, him staring down at Tamsy, him wanting to go down first, is not just his baseline reactions to everything. It could just be he has a feeling that Tamsy might be the culprit. Maybe Kuro told only Rudo, but not the rest. Or maybe just Enjin and Rudo that know, and nobody else is around and in the dark to help fool Tamsy. This is what I think is going to happen. Tamsy's going to be exposed. He's going to go on the run. Amo is going to be in the hospital for a while. She's going to join the group. And we're going to potentially see why Tamsy is doing this. And we also have Zodyl with all the information of the post-apocalyptic information that Kuro has. So, yeah. And there's still memories and information that Kuro has no idea about, which might be about the world before Trash Beasts and all that stuff, and so much more. But yeah. That's my brief rundown, longer than I initially planned it to be, of the last 5 chapters of Gachiakuta, the most recent one being the most crazy. So, what did you guys think? Leave your thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below on the revelations that we've had with the last couple of chapters, and where do you think the story is going to go from here? And say it with me, fuck Tamsy! And if you haven't already, like and subscribe and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps me, it shows you guys enjoy the content I make here on the channel, shows you want to see more. I will try and make chapter reviews for Gachiakuta moving forward, but I can't guarantee it. I really want to, but it all depends on my time, because 3 of the series I want to cover weekly are coming out on the same day, and I gotta plan things out properly. So, for now, that's gonna be all from me. Have an awesome day, everybody. Why has Gachiakuta been so peak after I leave?